globalization is both the best thing that's happened and the most dangerous thing that's happened. And so we have to manage those dangers. It's not just that our interconnected systems make us more interdependent. It's also that the benefits that we're enjoying, if we add them up, can lead to some bad things.
Living in a modern, globalised world means economies around the world are ever more dependent on each other. The interconnectedness of goods and services is facilitated by the speed at which people and companies are able to communicate. Each country now depends on several other countries for its economy to function.
It has created a vast amount of wealth and massive investment over the last 25, 30 years since the end of the Cold War. But now it is facing some pretty big challenges as the global economy comes under intense scrutiny. And there are a number of people who kind of think, well, globalization benefits the financiers and it benefits the big corporations, but it doesn't benefit ordinary workers who've lost their jobs. And Trump obviously played on that. That's one downside cost. The other downside cost is you do lose control over your economy. You can't easily control your own economy.
With greater dependence comes greater fragility. No better example than the initial outbreak of the virus in China. An interconnected world means those carrying the virus were able to easily spread it worldwide. When plants stopped producing, there were shortages and delays for products all across the world. But as the virus slowly subsides, it doesn't necessarily follow that countries will seek to stop depending on each other.
Saying that Covid-19 spells the death of globalization or deglobalization, I think is wrong. Firstly, it's not factual. We're seeing many aspects of globalization which are accelerating, not least digital globalization. In some areas, there's 10 times the level of digital flows across national borders this June in the last 2 weeks than there has been in the same period last year. So there's been a massive acceleration in digital flows. Science has never been more globalized in the search for the vaccine, in the mobilization of parts for ventilators or masks and other equipment. There's also going to be much more globalization in finance, I think, because over 100 countries in the world have requested financial assistance from the IMF and from international institutions. Private banks will also have to be part of this. And there's going to be a desperate need, and I think there will be a response, to financial flows across national borders. There will also be more private flows because all assets, all valuations are being repriced because of COVID.
I don't think globalization is going to come to an end. In a sense, it's in a sense too big to fail. It's too integrated. It's gone too far, and too many states and groups and interests around the world benefit from it.
But coronavirus did serve as a stark reminder to the dangers of international dependence. The initial shortage of PPE and ventilators was widely discussed and could be an argument for greater self-reliance. But as the economy attempts to slowly return to normal, globalization can still play a different yet vital role.
The way that supply chains became fragmented was to take advantage of the international division of labor, comparator advantage, using cheap labor elsewhere to do things that were more expensive to do at home. Well, with technological change, that's no longer a driving force of why you locate things anywhere. Shirts, cars, and other things increasingly are being made by robots. And what we're seeing is reshoring because capital and machines are cheaper in the advanced economies than they are in poorer countries.
If you ever try to move back to full-scale protectionism, which I don't think is going to happen, but that's another question, then look what happened in the 1930s. You get a disintegration of the world economy. The world economy basically breaks down into blocks, and those blocks become increasingly competitive rather than cooperative with each other, and the outcome of all that, as we know, was in the end, although this is an oversimplified view, creates the preconditions of further and deeper conflict, as ultimately the World War II.